Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I've been sitting up here thinking about the Los Angeles Lakers roster. Fantastic moves that we made. Everything that we've done has been pretty much on par with what we would want on this channel for sure. And I think now I'm just looking on paper, I guess, in regards to what it is that I think I'll be seeing on the floor, trying to guess what I think Darvin maybe want to do in regards to certain rotations and things like that. And it's kind of hard to predict early on. I was watching some highlights of Jackson Hayes, and I think that that's a piece not utilized very much in New Orleans, in the only place he's ever played. He's a piece that is limited in regards to what you expect him to do away from the basket, but he's a lot of energy. That's what you can expect from him, is real explosiveness, power, pressure on the rim. And that's really what I like about this player. Lob threat extraordinaire. Think JaVale McGee on the offensive end. But probably not stretching the floor to shoot the three unless he's working on it. I think it would be a good idea for him to start if he doesn't have that in his arsenal. Try to incorporate that into it. But my question is Darvin going to use him? I wonder if I'm going to see him on the floor very much, because Darvin likes ball handlers. Darvin likes players who can tend to stretch the floor and kind of create from various angles, and I just don't think he's going to probably use him as much as we probably want him to. History has shown us that we're a small ball team no matter what. So my guess is we'll probably see some, Rui at the 5, depending on who we sign here. And that's the question. Are we going to go Beasley? Which I think is probably no. My guess is Beasley's probably headed to another team. But I think Bamba could be someone we sign. There are a lot of options, but I don't know who would take a minimum to come to our team. You think about a guy like P.J. Washington. He would be a good addition to this team. Paul Reed, I think, would be a good addition to this team. I wonder if Kelly Oubre Jr. would be a good addition, but all of these guys, I'm pretty certain, beyond certain, that they are priced out of our range. But if for some reason they wanted to take a one-year deal, I don't think it would be the worst investment in themselves, because this team is going to have some opportunities for guys to kind of just beat one another out of positions to start. And I predict that our core is going to be missing time. Just in general, I don't think I'm Nostradamus when I say that. So the opportunity for guys to play is going to be more so than what people think. And I do believe that this team is going to kind of be pick and plug, player by committee. Everybody defend as a team. Everybody score off one another. And if they play unselfish, they're just going to win games because they're a deep team. It's a talented team, but 75% of this team is unproven. And so it's just going to be who's motivating who. And Darvin's going to have to not demoralize the team by doing stuff that just drives it crazy, because this is a young bunch. And they can lose interest quickly, you know what I mean? So that kind of thing. But, I think this roster is more so about building for the future. I don't think it's necessarily about what we're doing just for this season. This is year 1, or rather year 2 with this unit. Well, 1.5, I guess you could consider, since we've made the trades of last year. But I'm curious to see what's up with Vando. We made his contract guaranteed today, so I want to congratulate him, of course, for that. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be looking at an extension if he plays well, because there's no way we're going to be able to get away with playing him on a $4 million deal for much longer, and it's expiring. So I don't think the Lakers want to see him reach free agency, but I haven't heard anything in regards to that. But he's the kind of guy that somebody will overpay for. I guarantee you that. If you see what Jeremy Grant just went for, Vanderbilt's going to get paid next summer. So that's something the Lakers need to really think about. But nevertheless, I wonder too, just like with Jackson Hayes, how much playing time will he receive throughout the course of the season, when you consider his jump shot wasn't very reliable last year, and we relied upon it very much. And this year, I don't think it's going to be as pressing for us to do so, to find that ability. because of how this team has been constructed this season. I look at the addition of Maxwell Lewis, and I just say, man, he solves a lot of problems in regards to how can we find the bucket in certain areas of that power forward, small forward position when Bron ain't on the floor, when AD ain't on the floor. Who's going to be able to just hit that corner shot if we need to create it? And he's going to answer that question for us rather quickly. And I think Max Christie's going to answer that question pretty good too. So, I'm pretty excited about this Laker team right now. The question I have for myself is, excuse me, I'm wondering if Gabe Vincent is going to be athletic enough to do some of the things that we're going to want him to do at that shooting guard position. Because we have players that are going to pick you apart from the mid-range, but nobody's really leaping. We let Lonnie Walkers walk, and I think that's just going to be one thing that I think the Lakers are going to be able to answer. I know they were targeting Bruce Brown, and we know that he's very athletic in that situation, but what the Lakers are going to find out is we're going to be under the rim a little bit with our guards. D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent. Obviously, we're talking about, our rookie, Jalen Hood-Schifino. These guys aren't really leapers and really athletic players. And so we're going to be shooting jumpers a lot of the time. We're a jump shooting team for the most part. And that's why I wonder if we're going to be using Jackson Hayes more so to kind of put pressure on the rim as to where we don't have that, that natural ability this season. With what I see in my head right now, we did make some additions, but I don't know if we're really going to be able to do that specific thing as much this year with LeBron James not really trying to look to do that as much. His three-point shot, he's been settling more so for it as the years are progressing, and I expect for him to increase his three-point shooting this season. Hopefully it's falling at a good clip, but last year not so much. I say not so much. So we kind of want to, I guess, encourage the King to play it by ear. I know him getting in rhythm from behind the arc is important to him, but I just think we have so much three-point shooting this year that we can really get quality three-point shots from possession to possession if we choose to, just by working the ball around. And maybe it makes more sense for him to pick and choose when it's best to attack that way. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing, and I know he's conserving energy, which is going to help him, maintain throughout the course of the season. But with some of the players that we have, I just think it's a very good idea. We consider maybe not asking LeBron James to do too much offensively this year, shooting the ball. Excuse me. So, yeah, I think the Lakers they did a good job, though, man. I got to say, this has been one of the best off seasons I've seen in a long time. Now, obviously, we've gotten some superstars, in the off season. So it's kind of hard to judge when you make big splashes and receive, great talent. But there's something to be said for just having a plan, sticking to it, and just making sure that you do everything that you're supposed to do in regards to being careful and being intent on building around your superstars and keeping young talent and keeping positive assets on your team at all times. And I think that this team has found themselves in a position to where they can say they're near the standard, if not the very standard right now, and how we're operating. And so it's something to be said for how to consider how far we've come, the road that the Lakers have been on over the last, say, 12 years, and to just see that we're in a good position to really actually build something big from here. You can see that. Now, a lot of things have to continue to be done correctly from this point on, but all in all, you can see a future for the LA Lakers, and that's something that 4 or 5 years ago was not very certain for this team. And so, I got to give credit to LeBron James and Anthony Davis for coming here and spearheading the turnaround on the court, and of course Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka for you know, making good decisions behind the scenes over time after having made some mistakes and kind of had to dig our way out of that hole. I think they've done a good job of getting themselves out of that hole, and that's where we're at. I think we're finally out of the hole. So we still have to give more in regards to the Anthony Davis trade next season or the season after in regards to the swap. We'll see which one the New Orleans Pelicans choose to take from us, but we've gotten good years out of Anthony Davis, and he's still on tab going forward. So hopefully we have a very good season there. And I think Anthony Davis has proven that when he's healthy in the offseason, he's intent on working. And so I think it would be obviously important for him to get his foot, taken care of in whatever way necessary to assure it doesn't give him any trouble to start the season. But at the same time, having a good off season for Anthony Davis in regards to his conditioning will really make the difference. Because when he comes in healthy, we have really good seasons from him for his standards. Of course, he's going to miss games just out. It happens that way. But overall, he feels better on the court, it seems to me. It looks like he's moving around better when he has good off seasons and he's able to work out the way he did last off season. So I'm hopeful that's what he's doing right now, and that's where I guess it's one of those situations where, of course, you want to be able to take time away from the game and relax. I know he mentioned that he didn't pick up a basketball in the first month of the off season last year. Maybe that's the way it should go for him as well this off season. But at some point in time, you do start to ramp up, and that's what we're referring to. So yeah, man, it's an exciting time. The media loves the Lakers, but I think, if I'm being honest, I think they love us for the wrong reasons. Excuse me. I think they love the moves we made in regards to what this team is going to look like this season. And for me, I love the moves more so for what they mean for the team for the next several years going forward. I don't necessarily think this team is built to win a championship right away. I don't think that. I think the kids are too unproven. And I do believe the core is a little too old, if I'm being just completely honest with you. But I do think that they are in a position to continue to build something from here that's going to be fantastic. So long as they continue to do things as carefully as they've been doing them these last, I guess, year or so. So I'm very thrilled with that. I'm not telling people the Lakers are the best team in the NBA or in the Western Conference. But I do think that if everything clicks, they very well could be. They're not too far away from it. Obviously, with the team that was in the Western Conference Finals with the Nuggets, got swept out of there. So it was a clear cut who's better between us and them. But we've gotten a lot better, and they have not. Let's just be honest. The Denver Nuggets did not get better in the offseason. The moves they made, losing Bruce Brown, now they're going to be leaning on some more rookies to kind of step in and really have roles this year. The moves they made just did not make them a more improved basketball team on paper. So we're gonna have to see if it translates to them still being a dominant basketball team. And I legitimately have my doubts, to be honest with you, about the Denver Nuggets. Them losing Brucey B, that really hurt bad for them. They're not as scary as a basketball team, especially since you got Aaron Gordon. He came off a fantastic year. Is he going to have another year like that? Is that what we're expecting? Now you got Christian Braun. Is he going to step forward? The dude wins on every level. So is this going to be a theme? Is he going to continue to be a lucky charm for championships? This is a possibility. I'm not certain what we're seeing in Denver isn't going to be another process forward for them to get a championship, but I do think they need to make a trade or two to make their team much better, to be honest with you. I can see them making a mid-season trade of some sort to improve that basketball team. So, yeah, that's what I see right there. I see a Los Angeles Lakers team that's pretty good. I see a Sacramento Kings team that has shifted some pieces around a little bit. They're going to be relying upon some guys that I've never heard of, but they still have significant depth. And so, and their core is intact. So I still think they come back a contender as well. Phoenix, it's all about health for Phoenix. If they're healthy, they can be a contender. If they're not healthy, they're not going to go anywhere. And that's pretty much what it is. I thought they made some good moves within the parameters that they could, you know what I mean, to get their team to be as good as it needs to be, within a very small, budget. But at the same time, I wonder if they have enough on their bench to really keep them whole and to keep leads. So we'll see. We'll see if those guys all step up and make for a very good team. I think they'll be better defensively for certain. So that's one thing I want to say. The Clippers, if they're able to get James Harden, Dame, if he's staying in the Western Conference, because I don't know if he's going to make it to Miami. Miami's, to me, it's going to be hard for them to make that deal, honestly, without moving Jimmy Butler. That's the God's honest truth. To really get the value, you may have to move Jimmy, because at the end of the day, they refuse to move Bam. For whatever reason, he's the immovable guy. I don't think Tyler Hero necessarily fits in on the Trailblazers, but you can probably flip him to a third team. But when you start trying to figure out who that third team is, I'm not sure who it is. Who's going to give you the value you're looking for to help you facilitate Dame Lillard to Miami? Because they might as well just throw in a little bit more and get Dame on their own team, since they're going to shoot for a player like that. Tyler Hero, Dame Lillard, why am I helping you get Dame? Give me Dame. And so that becomes a situation right there. But if you ask me, I still think Dame is probably going to end up on the Eastern Conference, because I don't think he necessarily wants to stay in West and to see his old team 4 times a year. I don't think he wants that. I think he wants to probably go to the Eastern Conference and hopefully deal with a weak Eastern Conference this upcoming season, because I don't think it got better as a conference. I don't think they got better. And so, we'll see how it all pans out. And, the New Orleans Pelicans are a team I'm paying attention to. Them picking up Hawkins is interesting to me, because they're going to have a really, really different dynamic with that type of shooter on that floor and Zion coming back. So they're a curious team. And they still got C.J. McCollum on that team. That's kind of surprising to me. I thought they would move him, and they haven't. So I'm curious to see what type of year he has, if he's going to continue to be on the squad. Derrick Rose on the Memphis Grizzlies. Derrick Rose always finds a way to play well, but I don't expect for him to play more than like 25, 30 games. That's the only thing. But with the games he plays, I'm pretty sure he's going to make an impact. And that may be the only amount of games they need him to play, when you consider that's how many games, Ja's out. So I think it's a pretty big time pickup when you consider them already having some depth at the point guard position, but having Trey Jones being out now, you would need somebody like Derrick Rose to just kind of come in and just play a couple games for you. But that Bane contract, I don't know, man. I don't know if I see Bane as a $206 million guy. Nah, not with the injury history. No, not with him being only kind of a 3-and-D type of prototype. I don't think so. No, you got to be able to do a lot more for me in general, for me to want to invest that highly in you as a player. And that's just a preference thing, I guess, for me. If a guy reaches a milestone, he deserves the money. But again, as we said yesterday, I just think that's a little bit flawed. I think that's a little flawed. But nevertheless, that's their investment, and I don't think they have a championship ceiling. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I never said that before about the Memphis Grizzlies, but maybe the acquisition of Marcus Smart, it can do it. You know what I mean? But I'm not in love with the mixture of ingredients there anymore. I don't love it. So we'll see if they are able to overcome with Dillon Brooks now in Houston and various different things going on around them. I just don't think they're really as good of a team as they may have been amongst other teams in the Western Conference. I feel the same way about the Golden State Warriors. We talked about them earlier. I just don't think they made as many moves as they would need to make themselves a contender this season. I really don't. I expect them to have if they have their picks, they're going to have a pretty solid pick next year. Lottery team, maybe, possibly. If everybody isn't healthy, definitely. Um, Minnesota can surprise some people, but I still think it depends on how those pieces come together this year. They're going to be a defensive team. Anthony Edwards is going to be, spearheading the whole thing, and I just wonder how that's going to look because they did pick up some pretty solid pieces. I like the Leonard draft pick. A few other things they did. Shake Milton. Just some solid moves. I think they look better this year than they did last. Just sliding around the Western Conference, looking around. I honestly am curious about the Houston Rockets because they still have a ton of the young talent that they had left over. Even though they did shave off a lot of it, it's very curious to me to see if they're going to make a play for a Dame Lillard or a James Harden for a bunch of those kids. Because if I'm Portland, that's where I want to send Dame. And if I'm Houston, Fred VanVleet is nice. I don't know if I necessarily put him next to either one of those guys, but the way that Houston is thinking, they probably look at it like, yo, we can really bring ourselves some amazing talent if we do something like that. So I'm wondering if they really see a role for a guy like Amen Thompson, or don't they just trade him right now? A guy like Cam Whitmore seems to be a bit more easy to kind of fit into whatever system. I know that sounds crazy, but the way they're shaving off talent, they still have more shaving to do in order for any of this to really add up just yet. And I don't know what they're doing. I really have no idea what the vision is for the roster. If they leave it like this, you just got a lot of stuff that doesn't quite have any path to really playing as well as it probably needs to. Like, for example, Porter. If you don't move Porter, he's really too good to be in the role you have him in. Like, far too good. And then he's kind of competing with Amen Thompson and Fred VanVleet. That just doesn't really leave for much. You can have him starting at the 2, but that doesn't make any sense. What's going on with Terry Eason? He's way too good to be in the role that he's in. So it's like, what are you going to do with that particular player? Now, I like the fact that you've moved on from Christopher, Garuba, and all those other guys, so it kind of gives you a bit more room to kind of incorporate the new guys. But all in all, you added superstardom to the wrong position because you got 2 superstar potential point guards, and you still got Green. Now, are you going to move on from Green? Because that can make your roster make a bit more sense. That way you don't have to worry about your shooting guard position and just slide Porter in. And if that's what you want to do with the shooting guard position, I wouldn't remove Green from any team I got going on. But, hey, I'm trying to make sense of what they're doing. So are you going to move Porter? That makes more sense. So I don't know. There are a couple teams out there who really need a point guard, Toronto being one of them. Maybe you move Porter to Toronto for OG Anunoby. I don't know. You have to add something to that. But that's the type of move I'm trying to make. And if I'm Toronto, I desperately need a point guard more than anything in the world. So I'm calling them for that. But that needs to be the move, man, because I don't think they really are done shaking things around. I'm certain of that. But as of right now, there really is no vision. There's no vision at all. So it's almost inevitable that there's more moves to make. That's essentially what I'm saying. I expect them to do something. And I expect them to do something very big, to be honest with you. I just think a superstar is going to go their way. I don't know. My mind goes in weird places, like maybe the Knicks get on the phone with him and try to send Julius Randle their way. That kind of thing. Because they just need to make sense of their timeline. And right now, Houston's timeline is it's rather strange. it's rather strange. And the mixture of pieces just... So are we making this a team that's full of shooters around Sengun so he can be like Jokic? Because if that's the case, you know which type of pieces they need to keep and which ones they need to let go of. If you want that type of way to be around Amen Thompson, if you want him to be the facilitator, do you see Sengun as a recipient of his passes, or are you moving on from Sengun? None of this really makes any sense yet. Amen Thompson piece makes absolutely no sense on this team because he's not a catch and shoot guy. He's definitely better with the ball in his hands. The only way you would want him playing off the ball is to kind of create off of positioning in different spots on the floor. Like, for example, you got him catching the ball in the corner, and then he puts the ball on the floor and either darts to the rim or creates a passing opportunity for himself. That's the type of playing style that he's going to be using. Is he going to be spearheading the second unit? If so, what's on that second unit? Jeff Green? I don't. It's almost like the owner is making decisions on the roster. That's what it feels like. So I don't know, man. But I just hope they continue to free more kids. Get Tate out of there. Get Easton out of there. Porter out of there. Yeah, I know they probably want to keep Smith because Smith is a player you can put into any situation. Sengun is a player who's already proven himself to basically be a future Hall of Famer, so nobody really wants to get rid of him. He's already proven. Green has such special talent, ability, but the I don't know where his head is, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's going to be somebody who's going to be mature enough to really be in the role that they want him to be in now that they're a win-now team. So that's one thing. Fred VanVleet on a 3-year contract. Like I said, that contract is weird to me, but it ends soon. So I guess I'm warming up to the idea that he can be a fantastic piece anywhere he goes, so long as he doesn't shoot like he did last year. But that's the thing. It's like, are we aware that he had a down year, or are we just giving him money just because his name is like? I don't know. But he's coming off a down year. He did not shoot well at all. So it's like, are you going to throw him out there and have Amen Thompson sitting down? And here's the thing. This is where it's going to get really interesting. Ime Udoka is going to play the players he trusts. We've already seen he's a defensive-minded coach. He's a no-nonsense coach. And he's going to get the most out of all the best pieces on the team. Now, I don't know who he's going to trust on this team, but he didn't have any problem playing young players in Boston. But they had more solidified roles, more synergy. Everybody knew themselves, knew one another. They just needed to learn the coach. And that was really what it came down to. This is an entirely different situation. And I don't know what the chemistry is on this team going forward. Fred VanVleet's never played on another team other than the Toronto Raptors the whole time. You know what I mean? You just don't really know if they've given away enough what they need to give away to have solved what it is that they perceive as a problem. And the thing is, in order to do that, you're going to have to give away pieces that you just got. Like Cam Whitmore, you're going to leave him in a win-now situation? I just don't know that this is a good start for what it is they're trying to do. Now, is Cam Whitmore a fantastic piece for what it is they're going to be? I think so. Fred VanVleet on the team, you know what I mean? Sengun, I like Cam Whitmore's piece on this team, just like I like Jabari Smith's piece on this team. But Green, Porter, Amen, I need them to be more featured on whatever situation they're going to be in. They need to be more featured than what they're likely going to be featured on this team. Now, Green, since he's a more developed player, he's probably going to step forward ahead of some of those other dudes. He's obviously going to have a bigger role than Cam and Amen, but I think it's just going to be a situation where once you realize Amen's one of your best defenders, and he's bigger than Fred, I think coach is probably going to want to play Amen a lot of the time. I just see it coming. He's going to want his best defenders on the floor. That's the type of coach he is. So Dillon Brooks, Amen Thompson, and that's another thing. You got a mixture of, and I'm going to say this, guys who can't shoot and guys who can shoot. And that was not really a problem the old Rockets had. That wasn't really an issue. They could have added some shooting to their team and been better, but I don't think they were a team that really had issues hitting shots. Dillon Brooks, Amen Thompson, them dudes, they're going to brick some shots, man. It's going to be some bricklaying out there in Houston. Some guys that you're going to leave open, some guys you're going to play off of, some guys that you don't have to even really deal with around the perimeter. And that, my friends, is going to get in the way of that win now kind of thing that they're trying to do there. You bring in Dillon Brooks on a contract that big, You know that boy's problem is he shoots too much and misses too much. Like, that's his issue. He got the Max Strus problem. Them dudes that shoot all day long ain't hitting nothing all game. And it's like, yo, would you pass the rock to somebody else, man? Seriously. And if he learns to do that, if he ups his assists, he could really help this Rockets team, because he's going to help you defensively. He's going to be aggressive. I wonder how those mixture of personalities, him and Green and all these dudes, Cam, I don't know how that looks, man. With Dylan Brooks you throwing into that mix, I don't know how that looks. And a coach that seems like he got a short fuse in Ime Udoka. Short fuse. He seems like he's sharp, but short fuse, man. I think this locker room is a powder keg waiting to explode. The Fred VanVleet's supposed to be sitting there like everything's fine. I don't know how everything can be fine. I don't know, honestly. That's the problem I have with this Houston Rockets team. Because the issue they said they had was they wanted to become more mature and win now. And they went and got Dylan Brooks and put him on the team and overpaid him. That, my friends, is very, very special. That's a special thing to do. And, you know, they brought Patty Mills to the situation. I killed the Patty Mills situation, but at least he would have been a calming idea in the locker room. They traded him away. You know, at the very least, he come in there and be calm in the locker room. That was the only positive thing you could see in the situation. Nah, that dude is going to be somewhere else. So I just wonder if they know what the heck they doing in Houston, man. I wonder. We talk about it every night nowadays, because they've been the most interesting team to me. Just gave away talent for second-round picks that maybe they can balloon into something better, but those for which they gave away were not second-round picks, man. Josh Christopher, not a second-round pick. Garuba, not a second-round pick. Ty, not a second-round pick. These dudes are first-rounders that they just got over the last several years and did not find out if they could play or not. See, it's one thing if they gave these dudes opportunities to really see if they can really play. They really weren't down there, man. They weren't down there. So that's the Houston Rockets, man. They're gonna feel the fire from what they've done here to some degree, depending on if they keep on giving away young talent. They still got a boatload left over. That's the good thing about where they're at. If they stop doing this and just stop doing this, they can find themselves in a situation where they haven't given away too much young talent already. We haven't gone too far. You really haven't. The guys you gave away, they could afford to be given away. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I agree with it, but addition by subtraction for some of these guys is what it is, so they can be featured a bit more. And so I get that part. That is not a bad thing. But what are we doing with the cap space? And I gotta ask the NBA, can we figure out a way to make it so that if you don't necessarily need to use cap space, you don't? Like, it gotta be a way to not have to buy talent if you don't necessarily need to. Because some of these teams don't really need to give so much to so little and then have it be killing them in the cap. It just doesn't work. If a guy's not gonna give me as much as I need him to give me, but I have to give so much of my cap to something anyway, it has to be understood that once I give it to him and he doesn't perform, it really does hurt the team. It's not as simple as, okay, but it's all good. No, it's really not all good, because now that money is locked. And so that part needs to be understood. It's locked into a situation that doesn't allow you to free it up so that you can make your team better. And so that's why I have a problem with the Cleveland moves and all these other moves that I've seen that are really getting praised by a lot of the experts. And it's like, I just don't think they understand how difficult it is to get out of these situations with some of these players when they don't play well, when the team doesn't perform well, and you want to improve the team. It's not as simple as, I can trade him for this guy. No, you got to attach picks to get rid of some of these bad contracts. And we see it all the time. So it's like, at some point in time, as my phone tells me I only got 15% left, at some point in time, we got to acknowledge this. And, that's why I think the Lakers are front runners in regards to how this should be done right now. It just has to be done all over the league, where you just be a bit more careful. Have your foundation, as we always talk about. Develop your players, as we always talk about, and just understand when you don't have that, how not to build yourself further, dig yourself further into a hole as a franchise with bad contracts and misuse of franchise cap money, man. Really though, because at the end of the day, that's really the essence of most of the problems we see in the league. Most of these reasons why our teams can't get off the ground, or our teams can't seem to get the best talent, or why we have too much of one thing and not enough of something else, is because people don't understand this type of stuff and get locked into situations like that. So we're seeing those mistakes being made all over the league, especially more so right now with the changes in the collective bargaining agreement. You can just see people don't really know what the heck to do, so they're probably not doing the right thing or being led astray one way or another. It looks bad to me, and I just think these teams are they're gonna have some very sad fans over the next several years because of some of these moves. So that's pretty much all my phone will allow me to say at this point. You know what I mean? I think that this team, my team, the Lakers, has a real chance to be pretty solid this upcoming season, but I don't judge them on that. This is a win because of how we set ourselves up for many seasons to come. And, it feels good to be on this side. I just hope it translates to us getting some success, because we do have a win now timeline and window, and we may have to make some hard decisions in regards to our core. And that's the only thing in the way of us fully being in the driver's seat in regards to our future, is being strangled to that timeline, so to speak. But as of right now, the grand majority of this team is not on that timeline, and I'm just wondering where the Laker brass is really at in regards to moving on from the core, man. Because it's almost like you've done everything but that. That's the only thing left to do. And I know LeBron's on board, AD's on board. So as long as they're on board, there's always a reason not to do it. But, I mean, to be honest with you, the Los Angeles Lakers rebuild is pretty much over. They have rebuilt. It's just the only thing left to do is trade the stars for young players, or first overall draft picks for the next 7-8 years. And the Lakers are set. So that's really the reality of it. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.